always sit with your back to the wall. Right, yeah. Keep that.
I did. Last one was crunch time. This one I was here a half hour early, but I never got my readers, so I had to leave and come back.
Every year, my eyes get a little worse.
Yeah.
I can't read anything on my glasses.
I got up here, opened up.
And it's to the park yet? We just need a big bag of that.
I was gonna leave and go.
Pretty good, thanks.
It's hard to be hurt with a mask on. Take it off.
Outside.
Growing up, did you always have good eyes?
I'll take it off. Well, later. Good eyes with glasses.
I got my
first pair when I was 4 years old. I must be the only person I've ever met in my life that failed kindergarten. Twice, because the eye doctor told my mother after I finished 4 years old, start reading first grade, so every straight on his eyes, you know, just to get used to these glasses. Not like kindergarten for 2 years. I am the nat. Color inside the line is pretty good. So, from 4 years old on, now I wear contacts.
I never did have to wear. I kind of wish it was wearing them now. So, I'm getting more used to it all the time.
That would take an adjustment, yes. Because of my sports, all that stuff.
Yeah.
State law requires this body to announce at this time that a copy of the current Open Meetings Act is available at the back of the room where it is accessible to the public. Simpson. Sisson.
Here.
McDermott.
Here.
Gibbons.
Here.
Urbon.
Here.
Bucher.
Here.
Johnson.
Here.
Aldridge.
Here. Thank you. If we can all please stand for a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Amen. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Good to have everybody here tonight. Item 1 is consent agenda. Approve this agenda. Pay the claims as submitted. Approve the city's treasurer's report for October 2020. Approve the minutes of the November 3rd, 2020 regular council meeting.
One correction, Mayor, to the minutes.
What's that?
I got one correction.
Any other comments?
I thought the same thing.
Larry?
Well, I got a couple things I'd like to talk about. On back of page 1, it shows that during the public forum, Tim Ream appeared to interrogate council members who voted against approving the appointment. I think interrogate is not the correct word to use. I think it should be in there, required of the council. To me, it sounds to me like is a police officer or law enforcement officer asking questions, and I don't believe that the public, I don't think it's a crime for the public to ask council questions. So I'd like to have that changed to inquired of, if that be possible.
Okay,
And then on the beginning of the second page there, on the third line, it says, grants would be an important part of solving the city financial concerns with the baseball complex, and then I'd like to change that to regard to future endeavors.
to what?
Future endeavors, because there's more than just the ball field that we're talking about.
Okay,
Those are Tim's words.
Yeah,
Those are-
Those are Tim's words. They
those
were
are
taken
Tim's
off the
words, you
video.
can't change his
Oh,
words.
okay.
What does it say? Why don't you use your video?
We did.
God, it says what I said today.
I did.
Okay.
All right, well, that's what he said, then I take that back.
okay, I'm gonna pull the minutes off the consent agenda, and we need a motion to approve.
I got one more.
Okay,
And then down a little farther, it says, Mr. Ream declared that he was present as a citizen and continued his inquisition. I'd like to say that would be, and continued his questioning. Since this is all permanent record, I just like to have that.
okay, we'll pull the minutes off of the consent agenda. A motion to approve.
So moved.
Second?
They'll be brought back at the next meeting then?
We need to approve the agenda, to pay the claims, approve the city's treasurer's report. That's what we're approving now. Then we'll approve the minutes, corrected minutes.
Okay, motion Holdrege, second Johnson. Johnson is not here. Sisson.
Yes.
McDermott.
Yes.
Gibbon.
Yes.
Fairbaum.
Yes.
Bucher.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Holdrege.
Yes.
Thank you. Now motion to approve the amended minutes of the November 3rd regular council meeting.
So moved.
Gibbons, second by Ben?
Randy.
Randy, okay?
Fairbaum.
Yes.
Bucher.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Holdrege.
Yes.
Sisson.
Yes.
McDermott.
Yes.
Gibbons.
Yes.
Thank you. Item 2, public forum. If anybody wants to bring anything to the citizens, council that is not on the agenda?
Good evening, Mayor, council members. I have an agenda item later in tonight's agenda, but in consultation with Dane and Mary earlier today, we agreed that it would be a good idea for me to bring forward for your, as an informative effort, information on a project that we've been working on since last May. I've spoken with some of you individually regarding this project, but we're at a point now where things are starting to fall together, and so it's important for us all to be on the same page and rowing in the same direction. I've provided each of you a copy of some information this evening about the project, and I'll be brief, but I'll also be open to answering any questions that you may have. The project has been in development using the project name Clean Sweep, and it is a domestic-based manufacturer of medical gloves that is seeking to reshore its manufacturing operations to this country after having produced its product in Malaysia for the past 2 decades. Prior to that, they had plants in Germany and also a plant in Southeast Asia. The global demand for surgical gloves, along with other PPE equipment like you're wearing tonight, has skyrocketed. And medical gloves is also, the demand is skyrocketing. As a matter of fact, the FDA has issued guidance on preservation of medical gloves and how medical clinics and hospitals can use them appropriately to preserve the limited quantities that are available now. This project was seeking to reshore its manufacturing operations in advance of COVID hitting. So we were in communication off and on with the company for a couple of months preceding our proposal to them, which was delivered on May 20th. The project would occupy about 34 acres in the Iron Horse Industrial Park, and we would seek to commence construction next year in the next construction cycle. Consequently, we need to get water, sewer, and streets installed at that location. To accomplish that, and with the mayor's consent earlier this year, we applied for an EDA grant through the Department of Commerce, which had allocated some of the CARES Act funding to support projects like this. We were successful in making it through the first round. We were notified a week ago that we had been approved to be considered, using their terminology, we had been selected for further consideration. That's essentially advancing us to the next level. Now we need to confirm and demonstrate that we can deliver everything that we said that we thought we could. The grant would fund about $3.8 million worth of infrastructure construction that would connect Iron Horse to the city system along the proposed easements that lie just north of the shooting range. Then all of the infrastructure for the industrial park and this project would be included in that $3.8 million. The local match is 20%, so we need to identify $763,000 locally, which is indicated on the second page of your briefing paper here. And to do that, we've identified a number of different areas, including the PCDC cash reserves and a line of credit that we would take out with the local bank to provide about $328,000 of that local match. We've also applied for and been approved for a $150,000 grant from the Department of Economic Development called a Sites and Buildings grant. That's similar to the grant that we received for Allman last year, and that can also be applied against that match. So that leaves about $285,000 left to fill. And we need to assure the EDA that there are going to be funds available locally to help fund this construction and honor that 20% match. What we discussed this afternoon was the possibility of using fees that the company would pay for water and sewer services to help fund that $285,000 gap. The company will generate about $126,000 per year in fees, water and sewer fees, at the low end of the estimate. We're using, they propose to use about 10 million gallons a year in their process needs. However, they will recover and recycle about 80% of that 10 million. So these projections that are included at the bottom of your second page are based on that $2 million or 20% reuse number. That would produce $40,584 in water fees per year, $86,112 in sewer fees per year. So that's essentially a 2-year payback of that $285,000 that we need to complete this project. We are assembling all of the documents that they've requested for us that are due back to the EDA on November 23rd. As you may remember, we engaged the services of Olson to help us prepare this grant application. They've been very, very helpful. Dane has been very, very helpful in coordinating things on the city side, and for that we're grateful. But today, what I'm asking is not for you to approve anything, but to take this under consideration and try to help us meet this application goal. And as I said earlier, we are going to be able to demonstrate PCDC's contribution of around $328,000. We just need that last $285,000. Be happy to answer any questions about the project or this process. This is I would also say in your packets, the full economic impact study that we had commissioned by MPPD, and there's also a summary of the economic impacts to our community, which are considerable. In short, it creates 73 high-paying jobs initially. That induces or indirectly creates another 125. Retail sales will increase in the community by 1.2 million per year. There's real property assessments and taxable income that will come to the city. And one of the things that we have not done yet, but worked with Brian to do a power quote for the company. They are a very large power consumer, and I think it's a 1.3 megawatt load, about 935 kilowatt hours per month. That's a fairly large customer, and I think it puts them in the neighborhood of BD. I'm not sure about that. Brian?
A little under, I believe.
A little under that, but it'd be a large power customer for the community as well.
Thank you for your information, Ron.
Yeah, thanks, Ron.
Any other questions?
What's your time frame?
We hope to finalize financing for the project, the grant, and everything so that we can start construction in the spring. Infrastructure has to go in first, but while infrastructure is going in, we anticipate that the building itself will be constructed off-site in a panelized fashion and then assembled as soon as they can get in to the site after the infrastructure is installed.
You said 73 high-paying jobs?
Right.
How do you classify a high-paying job?
The total payroll is in that economic impact study, 5.1 million labor income. Now, I have the actual jobs and descriptions and pay scales with us. The lowest paying job, Mary, is $40,000 a year for some administrative staff. But there are production managers and supervisors that are projected to earn $100,000 per year. Regulatory affairs, $70,000 a year. The IT manager, $120,000 a year. Engineering managers and techs that range from $50,000 to $80,000. So these are very, very well-paying positions. The nice thing about this project, it doesn't put such a demand on our market to fill a number that would be difficult for us. We can absorb 73 jobs over the course of the construction and ramp up of this project fairly readily. We'll probably import some labor too. These are going to be very attractive positions. Added to that, phase 2 will follow in about 5 years, which will double the footprint of the plant and probably quadruple the production capacity. We'll see employment increase probably to 150.
Larry?
If everything goes to par, how soon do you think they might be able to start operating?
It's probably a 1-year construction window. So I'd be looking at 2022 for production.
Okay.
Any idea how many other sites we're competing against?
We had sites in Iowa and North Dakota that we were competing against. Holdrege holds up very well. We have exactly what they need.
Very nice.
Sounds good, Ron. I'd just like to thank you for all your time and effort on this. I know you've been working on it for a long time.
Yeah.
I've sat in on a few of the meetings, and I think there's a lot of support for this project.
The economic development window is not ever as fast as we'd like it to be, but this is a good project. If we can win it, we can get this across the finish line. I think it has the long-term implications of 50 years ago when people in this community had the foresight to recruit BD. So this establishes Holdrege as more of a medical and biotech manufacturing center. And with the addition of the COVID syringe production at BD, that's just a real big win for us.
It should be an industry that won't go in cycles as far as layoffs,
That's
or
right.
like a lot of manufacturing. So.
Well, one thing about this particular category is that 100% of the production of medical gloves occurs somewhere else. There is zero production in this country right now. They all exited this market about 20 years ago in favor of the lower cost labor in the Asian countries. The difference today is that this is a much more automated and high-tech facility that doesn't rely on labor. A plant that would have this production capacity in Malaysia would probably employ 400 to 500 people. So this is going to be a leap forward for this particular category. And Mr. Mayor, I'm happy to give you my third quarter report now, or wait until the agenda item calls for it.
We'll wait. Thank you.
Thank you, Ron.
We got a gentleman here from quite a ways away. Excuse me. Is there anybody else on public forum that wants to speak to?
Yes.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Mary Hoff, and I just think that we need to take this opportunity to thank Randy Holdrege for his many, many years of service, 24, I understand. And I'm just wondering if there will be any kind of a recognition from the community for all the years that he's served, and if not, certainly tonight to give him a good resounding thank you.
Mary, we have two more going off, Troy Erbaum and Doug Simpson.
Okay.
And they've put in considerable time on this council themselves.
So my question is will there be anything community-wide to?
Our next meeting in December 1 is when we normally, their last time, and all they will be doing is approving the minutes and the agenda. Then we do sin die. Then we normally present them, those going off with a plaque or a bullet or.
We ran out of clocks, thank God.
Well, I personally am wanting to thank Randy and the others for all of their work that they have put in over the years. I know that it's a big time commitment. Also, this is a public meeting, right?
Correct.
And we have more than 10 people here, right?
Correct.
So I'm wondering why we don't have a mandatory mask procedure going on.
We require it. It's not. We're not going to arrest you. We're not going to give you a ticket for it.
Well, I know, but I think that when we have more than 10 people, particularly in light of what the governor has just said, that whenever we come to any kind of a public meeting, that we need to make sure that we have mask mandates, that you need to wear it or you don't get to come in.
According to the guidelines that we're going by, we follow the governor, we follow the Two Rivers, and we follow the league.
Follow the what?
League of Nebraska Municipalities.
Okay.
The governor hasn't issued a mask mandate. So Two Rivers cannot issue a
I
mandate.
understand
It's
that.
my understanding that the Tri-Cities, Kearney, Grand Island, and Hastings are looking at it.
But that's not my question. My question is that when you have a public meeting, the governor has said, anytime there's a public meeting, we need, over 10 people, we need to have a mask mandate.
Got it.
You said the words mask mandate?
Well, I'm not sure. It's required.
No.
Masks are required.
Yeah.
We'll do some more checking. Thank you for bringing that.
I think that's what he just said yesterday. It just concerns me when people don't wear masks.
Thank you, Mary.
We have businesses that defy that. Their employees don't wear them. I do when I go in. And I don't know what the chief is ready to, he has his book out to start in writing tickets. But we will be looking at that. It's very serious, Mary, what's going on here, and none of us like it. 2 weeks ago, we had a resolution requiring, or not requiring, requesting that people follow the social distancing, follow the 3 C's, to avoid crowds, and wear masks. We need to protect everybody that we can. So we're not saying we're not going to, but we need to look what we legally can. So, thanks, Mary.
Mr. Mayor, I'll add one thing. 2 weeks ago when I was here, I was masked. I spent last week at home with COVID. So it's here, and I was standing right there with it. So you can think about it as long as you want. But the numbers are rising, people. Did I think I had it? There is no way in heck. I spent every day in my business with a mask on. And if I wouldn't have had a fever, I'm not sure I would have got checked. You can play politics with it all you want, but the numbers are rising.
Correct.
Thank you. But it was staring you in the face 2 weeks ago.
What the league is recommending, that we talk to our legal counsel and do that. We got a problem right now.
There's plenty of legal counsel out there.
So,
Quick thing, if that's okay. I wearing my museum hat today, so I'm not Rotary, I'm not all those other things. So today's for museum. Right now, we're looking at maybe putting together a COVID-friendly holiday type of deal for the museum. And we've recently went out, and not super elaborate, we're not doing, was it Christmas Vacation, where they put lights on, you know, every square inch of the house and it blows away the neighborhood. But one of my requests, I talked a little bit to Kim, is if we could borrow a small utility crew with the boom lift, if we could use that for maybe an hour at the museum sometime per recommendation when they're available, to wrap some Christmas lights around our windmill at the museum to make it look like it's a Christmas tree. So the idea is that we're going to have a bunch of different light displays in and around the outside of the museum so that people in the community can sit in their cars, COVID safe, and kind of enjoy themselves in a Christmas spirit and then drive back home. We're not doing anything to make a profit off it. We're not doing anything to do, I don't know, it's not really, it's just going to be kind of a fun community deal that we were going to do. And so Kim advised me to talk to his bosses, so that's kind of what I stopped by tonight to ask if that would be okay, and if you would like to advise Kim further on whether or not he could help us out for a little bit.
What is your timeline?
With the warm weather, we're trying to get it up this week, but I know that that's kind of maybe not possible. I think what we're going to try and do is get all the ground stuff done and just leave that one last project so that if the crew does come out, whenever they're available, that we could just, you know, bust it out that day of whenever they're available. So they've been really nice and helped us in the past with hanging like our flagpole ropes and that for that really tall flagpole that we have at the museum. And so they've been really, really nice in helping us out in the past, and this was just something that I asked, and he's like, maybe that's a little bit more extensive and outside of the realm of what we usually do. So he's told me to come ask you all.
Well, we can probably take a look at it, I mean.
Well, it's Brian's, it'd be Brian's.
We haven't done it for businesses or private entities in the past, just for the chamber, for Christmas lights, you know.
What I'll say is, I'll say this, have a look, see if it's something you're willing to do. If not, my company will come out and I'll hang them
Oh,
with my bucket truck,
that'd be nice.
one more truck.
Okay.
We don't give a lot of support to the museum. The museum does a lot for our community.
Just, it'll be done this
So
week.
Okay.
If you can't get to
look at it.
get it done.
Well, we could do it, it's your choice. I'm just saying, like, in the past, we've just hung for the chamber in town, so.
Which
I don't
can
care, you guys tell me, you're my.
And I would advise you too, being, now I'm wearing a constituency hat. You don't want to have your public service, utilities going everybody's house in town. That could be a slippery slope. And so I would definitely say you wouldn't want to have, well, that business did it. Well, they did it. Why can't we do it? So I can definitely see that being an issue. So I would understand on that realm.
And that's kind of why I'm throwing my hat in the ring and saying maybe that would be a good way to
mitigate.
keep the wolves at bay, so to speak.
Okay.
Yeah, but be happy to.
I commend you, Trent, if you're willing to do it, that way we don't
So
kind of muddy the waters,
We'll
so
do
to
it.
say.
Yeah, that's the only thing is a precedent, and you're not a business, you're a nonprofit,
Right.
But then, and then if we have the other nonprofits, which we love to help the nonprofits, but someone will say, that we gotta do it for everybody. I would love to do it, but if Trent's willing, then maybe it'd just be easier to have Trent.
We do a minimal donation for the museum, but
That'll keep the water.
if Trent
cool.
can,
Thank you. I would appreciate that. I have my card here.
Awesome.
Uh,
Thank you.
Yep. So maybe give me a call when you're free and available. I would definitely appreciate it. That kind of, I'm hoping that it would be kind of just a nice and not super publicized, not a big event, just something nice for the community that they can drive around and take a look.
I'll
So
give you a call sometime tomorrow.
You're
Okay,
doing
thank
lights
you.
and music and no one's getting out of their cars, is that what you said?
right now that's the plan. We're not going to have any staff or anybody there to regulate it, and so it's not going to be something where if somebody's out walking around the lights, we're not going to have anybody out there saying you have to stay in their cars. But right now, that's just the concept that people can. We have that big circle drive, so
Kind of similar to some of the other displays in the community where people just drive through.
Right.
You know, so-
Sounds real nice.
yeah. In the past, the museum's done some really crazy big things. We're keeping it low key, keeping low expectations, but I think for a first year, I think it'd be fun to do, especially with COVID. So anyhow, well, thank you. I definitely appreciate that. Appreciate the
pleasure.
contact for that. I hope you have a good rest of your meeting for tonight.
Thank you for coming in.
thanks, Mike. And thank you, Mr. Fuker.
No trouble.
Trent's Electric.
Yeah.
Before we go on to Mr. Powers, is there anybody else approach the council during public forum? If not, I will close the public forum then. Thank you. Item number 3, consider health insurance renewal proposal from Legacy Brokers. Jason Powers.
Good evening, good evening, good evening.
You heading back home after this meeting
I'm gonna
tonight?
go to Lincoln tonight.
Back to Lincoln.
I'm gonna go to Lincoln.
We have a new motel here.
Highly recommended.
Lincoln's about 2 hours closer to home. All right, I will be brief because it looks like you have a pretty full agenda of some other topics that are much larger than this one. The first sheet with the yellow highlights, I just kind of wanted to talk about where we came from. And I think it's amazing that Cheryl was here to hear this, but in 2008 or 2009, when I think I got the phone call, Blue Cross Blue Shield was increasing premiums 44%, and I think the city at that point was really looking at what can we do? I can't stomach a 44% increase. So we looked at making some changes to the way that the policy was underwritten. We moved the library off onto their own plan. We moved retirees off of this plan, but still covered them separately. But total premiums went down by doing that, and then we introduced the concept of the health savings account. Back in 2009, when we talked about introducing that health savings account, we talked about the city funding the HSA with dollars to help employees pay the offset for their increased deductible expenses. And I said it in 2009, and I say it almost every year. I just encourage the city to continue to consider what you're funding in that health savings account, because today the city funds that no matter what. I would just encourage you to consider that as a tool, a budget tool down the road, because it does have an impact on total cost. I like to look every year. What I track is what we're doing saving the city money versus what we could be doing. Right? What I'm not trying to do. I'm not trying to justify the increase or the change in rate or whatever we're looking at. All I'm trying to figure out is, we set out on a path, and I gave you a 10-year projection. And I came in 3 years ago and I said we met every goal in that projection. Particularly in 2020, this was a year of all years on many levels. But from a healthcare spend perspective, we saw our highest year yet. So this was a year that really caused our office to kind of go back, reevaluate what are we doing, and then compare that to the rest of the market. So normally I just project out estimates, and so when you look at the yellow highlights, all that stuff is estimate. The white is not estimate; those are real numbers. So if I look at where we were on the far left in that column, Blue Cross Blue Shield fully insured, versus where we went next to that Blue Cross Blue Shield fully insured HSA, you can see in 2018, we got a renewal increase from Blue Cross. Even doing the HSA, we got the renewal increase from Blue Cross, and it was almost 1.4 million. So we moved to the self-funded plan with Healthy Z using HSA, and we saved. I had a projected savings, then the actual spend column tells you what we actually spent, and then our actualized savings. So I take that and I accumulate that over time, and over 13 years, I'm proud to say the city saved $3 million on this path. Okay, but the cost continues to get out of hand. If we look at, so I went back and I had Blue Cross look at our group, and I said, what is it that you would give us a rate for using the same plans that we left behind with Blue Cross and moved to the self-funded side? What if we just match the plan design exactly? And that number from Blue Cross Blue Shield fully insured HSA of $1,389,902 was their number. Our renewal comes in $78,000 below that. So, and Blue Cross isn't the only company I went to. There's United Healthcare. There are other reinsurance companies. There are self-funded administrators that I go to every year. But what that helped me kind of realize was that we're on the right path. It was a bumpy road this year. So so then I look at, if you look at that next page. And I didn't bring all the bar charts and graphs and everything this year. I just kind of wanted to look through numbers. In that the far left column is the descriptors, right? The current 2020 green column, the total annual bill that we talked about is down at the bottom, and that's based on today's enrollment. And I think I say today, but I think, Dane, we might have had a couple of changes even last month on enrollment, so these numbers might be a little smaller. Actual numbers might be a little smaller based on current enrollment. The dark orange next to that is the renewal 2021, and the difference of the two is 14.69%. Not a problem. I'm going to come in here and tell you that it's a double-digit increase. Not a 44% increase, but 14.69 is a tough pill to swallow, and that's why we went and looked at the rest of the market. But the column next to that is. So the green is based on what we talked about in this room last year. The dark yellow next to that is what we actually spent. Remember, in the past couple of years, we built up a surplus. We didn't spend all our claims money, so we had money in the bank. We spent it in 2020. And so our actual spend was just under 1.3. So for me, the net difference in total maximum cost for next year is really 1.38%. The premium piece of that, if you look up above, I got a couple other percentage points underneath the light yellow rows. Remember, we pay some of it in premium and fixed cost. That's the money we don't get back, and then the rest of it is money we just set aside to pay claims. The premium only went up 3.12%. Okay, the adjustment is on what we need to set aside for claims. So think of it from a budgetary standpoint. I know we've got a global budget for the city, but then inside the health plan, we have another budget that we try to stay within. If we don't spend that increase in the claim side, the city doesn't lose the money. It's just sitting in the account, and then we get to use that money to navigate next year's reform. Okay. So, no change in benefits to the employees, no change in the kind of providers that we have access to. I think service-wise, anything that we've kind of run into, we've been able to navigate past, whether it be educating members or educating the providers. This thing slides down every time I talk. But I think overall, no disruption recommendations for employees. I think my recommendation is to renew with changing the stop-loss carrier. I will say that we're moving from Nationwide, yes, Peyton Manning Nationwide, from Nationwide to Gerber for our stop-loss insurance. That has nothing to do with employees' access to coverage. That's the city's protection on the reinsurance side. And that's my recommendation for the year.
You're looking at almost a 15% increase, is that right, Jason?
Looks like a 15% increase, but not compared to what we actually spent, like you're saying, just under 1.5% for actual numbers, but
yeah,
we had a bad year, so.
We're spending the money we already have in the community, right?
And now we don't have any in that
Right.
community.
now we don't have it in there. It's all gone.
Jason, I can remember the city panicking when we started to look at where we were headed. And that's why we brought you on board. And I want to thank you for all the years of service that you've given the city of Holdrege and the council. I remember us having a heart attack saying, we're going to be at $1 million one of these days. And everybody goes, no, it won't happen. It happened really quick.
It did.
And it's been a pleasure to work with you.
You did a good job.
It was one of the best decisions the city made.
It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you for your work.
Any more comments for Jason? Thank you very much. Have a safe trip back to Lincoln.
That's it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jason.
Jason, you said it took you 2 hours closer home. That would be exceeding a speed limit. 2 hours and 20 minutes.
I didn't tell you which part of Lincoln I was going. Thanks, everyone.
See ya.
Okay. Item 4, consider third quarter update from PCDC.
We have to have a vote on that.
You
Oh.
have to have a motion to.
Motion to approve.
So moved.
Second?
Sisson seconds.
Simpson,
Yes.
Sisson,
Yes.
McDermott,
Yes.
Gibbon,
Yes.
Irvine,
Yes.
Bucher,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Aldridge.
Yes.
Thank you. Now, item 4, consider third quarter update from PCDC.
Hello again. Before I move on to the third quarter report, I would ask the mayor if there's a way that we could ask the staff to maybe put together something for the council, for the mayor to react to related to the infrastructure funding.
Oh, you talked about in public forum?
Yes.
We can't act on anything that's
I
on public
understand
forum.
I understand you can't make a decision. I'm just hoping we could keep that advancing since time is short. for our
We'll talk about that later.
Okay. You have our third quarter report in your packets. I'm not going to go through it line by line. I'd like to highlight a couple of things and then field your questions. In general, Phelps County has performed very well through the first 3 quarters of the year. Better than what we feared last March when we were first starting to enter this pandemic. In general, the smaller, more rural counties fared better than the metros. Kearney in particular, we're kind of in the Kearney orbit. They suffered much greater declines on a percentage basis than we did. We saw declines in March and April, but we rebounded in May and through the rest of the year so far. We're actually tracking slightly ahead of last year in terms of sales tax receipts on retail sales, both for general retail sales and also automotive. We saw a couple of months where automotive sales weren't booked at the county, so their sales were virtually zero, but then they rebounded into the triple digits in subsequent months. So we've seen the market respond with resiliency and strength that is really gratifying to see. Nebraska in the month of July, that's the latest numbers that we had when we wrote this report. Nebraska actually saw sales increase by 21.6%. That's a phenomenal number. Nearby in Kearney, Buffalo County, their sales increased 9.6% in that same month. And we saw smaller increases in that month. So my guess is that those people who were shopping closer to home during the first months of the pandemic started venturing out later in the year and started or restarted old shopping habits going to the regional centers. We hope that we're able to capture and retain more of that as we go through the last quarter of the year. We've seen multifamily housing permits bump up as a result of the Crew subdivision. I know that that project was delayed for a number of months for a number of reasons, but now that we've got buildings completed and some nearing completion, we've got occupants in those buildings, and that is a good thing overall for the community. We will see more multifamily units break ground this month or next. I visited with Brian earlier about prioritizing electrical installations at those locations. The developer, Cliff Messner, and his group still hope to get ground broken on the 6 townhouses. I call them townhouses. Kim calls them duplexes.
They started today, Ron.
Did they? Great. So those are all directed at potential residents of the community that will, workforce housing, that price point where we hope to recruit and capture people that are currently commuting into the community. We've got a number of programs designed to assist in that, so these will be good for the market overall. Sally Sadd and I, our Director of Business Services, have scheduled business intelligence interviews with a number of businesses. We completed 14 of those by the time this report was written, and we saw a number of themes emerging. A lot of companies were very cautious initially, but we're seeing growing optimism and confidence in all the businesses that we're talking to. Finding qualified employees is still the biggest challenge for all employers. They could hire more people if they could find more people. In fact, the latest look that I took showed about 110 people on the unemployment rolls in Phelps County, but if you draw a circle around Holdrege, a 25-mile commuting radius, there are more than 250 open jobs available. So more open jobs than there are people to fill them. And those people that are now on the unemployment rolls are probably there for reasons other than, for the most part, they're there not because they don't want to work, but for other reasons. We're continuing to assist the new owner of the Dale Hotel. The owner is from Denver. She is clearing the hotel of all fixtures and furniture and things that are remnants of the old Dale Hotel. We hope to see that sparkling again in the future. She has plans to fully renovate the interior and offer furnished apartments, and recognizing that lugging furniture and appliances up and down those stairs is a challenge. She intends to offer furnished apartments at a premium. So we've been assisting her to connect with local contractors and suppliers, and that project's ongoing. This project, as I mentioned last time, may be an applicant for the PACE program to focus on window replacement and other energy efficient improvements to the building at some point in the future, and that's later on your agenda. PCDC collaborated with Jansen Ford, Central Community College, Holdrege High School to introduce a new program this year to address high demand job voids in our market. The auto tech industry is one of those areas that's been very, very difficult for local automobile dealers and repair shops to fill. So this is an example of an employer taking the initiative to grow their own workforce. Central Community College is providing dual credit to high school students. Our first semester we signed up 8 students. We did have 10, 2 for whatever reason didn't meet the qualifications. But we expect word of mouth will help build attendance in future semesters. We'll have a summer program as well. So this is just a terrific example of multiple organizations working together to solve the problem. We've had a lot of activity in our Go Dream and Go Home programs over the past 3 quarters. We've supported in the Go Dream program exterior renovations to the Wagner Irrigation Building. That turned out very nice, very attractive update there. The Rural Med Downtown headquarters building that's been renovated on both the inside and outside. PCDC provided the exterior renovation funding for that. We helped KUVR with new signage. We helped renovate a building in Funk. That's the home of a new business, Country Boy Automotive. And we also helped spruce up the outside of the Cozy Inn Cafe, which I'm really, really pleased to see. That's kind of a billboard for the West Gateway into Holdrege, so that's an improvement. And then in the Go Home program, we had 11 applications overall, 7 down payment assistance grants that relocated 18 people into Holdrege. That program over its life has I think relocated 199, is that right, into our community. So we hope that results in a positive trajectory for the 2020 census. So I'm happy to answer any questions, or if I've missed something that you'd like to talk about, fire away.
Follow-up questions on the Dale. I saw the website was up, but I looked at it, but I can't remember. How many units in the Dale?
I think there are 34, and as I understand it, she's not going to change the footprint so much, but completely scrub and renovate what's there.
What was the range of rents? Have you any idea yet?
I don't know yet. She has a similar project, or 2 similar projects in Lamar, Colorado. One called the Alamo, one called the Max, and they both have online or websites that are similar to the ones that you just mentioned. And I think the rents there range from $900 up to $1,400. I'm not sure that it will mirror this will mirror that, but that's our experience there.
And when are they I know it's a big project, but how far down the road are they anticipating being able to move in some of the first residents?
They're going floor by floor, and an elevator is one of the major impediments to occupying floors 3 through 6. And she's had difficulty getting an elevator contractor to be responsive. That's a big ticket item, and that may be one of the areas where PCDC lends some assistance. We haven't seen an application yet, but that's something that we would consider, because getting that building back to its highest potential and use is an important thing for the community.
Ron, are they addressing parking at all, or?
You know, we've discussed that. It's an issue, but I've suggested that perhaps they can visit with the owners of the old medical arts building to see if there's a lease possibility for unused parking spaces there. I don't know that she has followed up on that yet. I guess I just don't have enough information on it at this point.
Well, there's plenty of parking down there. People want to walk a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of them are they're parking down there now.
Yeah. In fact, renovation of upper levels in downtown is a less expensive way to create new living units. You know, and Trent may have a better idea about this, but a new 2-bedroom apartment may cost $125,000 or more to construct from scratch. And you can renovate a building for far less than that, maybe $50 a square foot rather than 125 or so.
Well, it's a good project. I'm glad they're taking it on.
Yeah.
Looks nice what they got done.
Yeah.
Ron, the Wagner irrigation renovation project, is that complete enough that they can get their money from the Go Green? I know that the inside is the contractor walked away and they can't get it.
Yeah, we're principally supporting the exterior renovations, and I know they didn't complete that to their satisfaction, but I think it's complete enough for us to settle up.
Okay, thank you. Any more questions for Mr. Tillery? Thank you for your report.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ron.
Item 5, consider ordinance 2442 establishing a CPACE district in the city of Holdrege.
I would speak to this, man. After the last meeting, Sean said that she felt an ordinance would be better than a resolution. So what you see in front of you basically is the identical thing that you approved at the last meeting as in a resolution form and an ordinance form. I think it's worded a little differently because we talked about approving a relationship with Greenworks last time. This one is focused on approving districts, improvement districts for CPACE funding in Holdrege. But otherwise, it's the same document.
Thank you, Hank. Any discussion on ordinance 2442?
I thought this was absolutely fine. There was just a couple of things I wanted to point out to make sure that everyone saw. On the second page, about a third of the way through in the definitions, district administrator means the designated representative or a third-party administrator selected by the city. And at the bottom of that page, it goes on to specify that the district administrator is authorized to enter into assessment contracts on behalf of the city. And then further on, the only other thing, wanted to make sure everyone knew was on the 5th page, second to the last, towards the middle. In connection with providing PACE financing, the city will provide for marketing and participant education. Again, I'm fine with this. I just want to make sure everybody saw those 3 things. I think that was it.
Have we established who the,
No.
We did not.
and it can be.
If we approve this ordinance, I would say recommend that we just do the first reading tonight. We're looking at later on maybe a city administrator.
Yep.
So I would recommend first reading only, if that's the council's wishes.
Yep. Sounds good. I'll make a motion that we approve it. We need to read the ordinance first. Oh, sorry. I thought we was going all through there.
You pulled a Doug.
First reading ordinance 2442. An ordinance to create a clean energy assessment district to establish definitions, to provide for the financing, administration, and collections, to promote energy efficiency improvements and renewable energy systems, and to provide the effective date hereof. Be it ordained by the mayor and council of the city of Holdrege, Nebraska.
Thank you.
Now, I will make a motion to approve.
Gibbons? Second by
Right here.
Doug Simpson here.
I know you can't hear me, but
I'm glad you raised your hand, because I can't hear good enough the way it is.
Burbine.
Yes.
Euchre.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Aldrich.
Yes.
Simpson.
yes.
Sisson.
Yes.
McDermott.
Yes.
Gibbons.
Yes.
Thank you. Item 6, consider appointment of city administrator. And I've given all the council a packet on our applicant, Chris Richter, out of Gibbon. I think he might be joined us on Zoom here. But I apologize to the council for the community. I assumed a lot of things. I assumed we were all on the same page. I assumed we were all looking at city administrator. I assumed everybody had a copy of our ads. So that is my apology. Take a copy, pass it on. I think I've got a copy here. And it seemed like there was special interest, outside interest, to maybe influence a few others. And I apologize. I'll take the heat. But moving forward, we are looking at a city administrator. We looked at a very good one the first time. We are looking at a very good one now, Chris Richter. Welcome to City of Holdrege, Chris, if you're watching us. He said he probably was. But the City of Holdrege is currently accepting applications for a city administrator. Dane put this ad out. Dane did a very good job. I couldn't have done a better job requirements. And Dane does a very good job. He's very quality clerk. Qualifications include, but are not limited to, a master's degree in public administration, plus 5 years experience in local government, or an equivalent combination of training and experience. Applicants should have experience in grant writing, economic development, and human resource development. Special consideration will be made for applicants with proven competence in the areas of team leadership, communications, public relations, municipal planning, and financial management. The successful candidate will be dependable and highly highly self-motivated with exceptional interpersonal and computer skills. Any questions on what we're looking for on an applicant? We're looking for, some people call it a CEO. I'm calling it a new quarterback. Somebody who's going to call the plays. He's not going to run with the ball all the time. He's going to hand it off. He's going to pass. It takes a team effort to make this thing going. Next question that come up, there's a question, who has appointing authority? Well, in the personnel manual, section 301, appointing authority. The mayor is the appointing authority with power of appointment, discipline, or removal of all employees. The mayor may delegate the authority to approve the appointment, discipline, or removal of employees as deemed appropriate, typically to the city administrator, subject to any applicable civil service rules or provisions of valid labor contracts. It says the mayor, that's why I got appointed here, elected by the people out here in the community. I wasn't really looking for this job. It wasn't a high priority being the mayor. But here I am. Whose job is it? Mine. But I don't want to do this by myself. I'm chicken. I want some wisdom. I want some experience. I asked our council president, and I asked our admin committee. The three of them come on. If I have another one, I'm looking at illegal closed meeting. So I thought I had pretty wise choice on my selection. The mayor still has the appointing authority, according to this. We had 16 applications, at least 8 from different states, from Ohio to Oregon to Texas. We had some very quality applicants. When we met, I had my committee look at all 16. I'll give it to Doug, take a look at it, go through them, rate them. Who's your number one? Who's your number two? Okay, he got that done. I picked it up, took it to the next one on my selection committee. Look at it, rate them. Who's your number one? Who's your number two? All 4 of us rated. How in the dickens it happened, but we all rated number 1 here, the same number 1. We all rated number 2 here. They meet these requirements. That's kind of what we're looking for, what we're needing, what the community is looking for going forward. So hopefully that clears the air a little bit with the council. And the other thing is concerned about our clerk. Our clerk has been doing a great job. He's been appointed the clerk, acting administrator. I'm totally behind our clerk. When he was hired as a deputy clerk. Several years ago, I talked to Bob Reger, our administrator, and said, he's been here a long time. He's the deputy. And Bob Reger agreed with me. Dane's doing a great job at the clerk. Let's promote him. You guys went along with my recommendations. We promoted him. Trent didn't. Oh, he's new, that's why. But he would have. I know he would have. In section 30704, acting. When you're acting, what does that amount to? Out of the personnel manual. When the need arises to fill a position due to an approved leave of absence, disciplinary action, or when a vacancy exists, a current regular status employee may be appointed acting to a position of higher pay grade or to a position of differing classifications. Such appointments are for a limited time to fill a temporary vacancy. Employees will not retain regular status in the higher position from an acting appointment and will be returned to the previous classification. No probationary period is required for an acting appointment. Dane has done very well. I've asked our city attorney time and time again, how can we compensate him? Legally, he says you can't. Legally, we can't compensate. We can't give him a bonus. We can't. I feel bad that, but Dane has done a very good job. So any questions on those points yet? Okay. Bear with me, folks. Like I say, I have checked some references that Chris Richter didn't even say. Chris Richter has been with the city of Gibbon for 20 years. The people that I talked to for references, highly recommended. He said he'll fit Holdrege very well. He'll do Holdrege a very good job. Been talking with the league, legal people down in Lincoln lately. And I mentioned Chris Richter. They think very highly of him down in Lincoln at the league. That means a lot to the references. They all speak very highly of him. One of the things when we was interviewing him, we talked about the grants, some of the grants he's got. He said something about Big Bear. He got a $500,000 grant for one of their sludge drivers that they go through the sludge. They built a library here, and it took like 7 years to get it done, but Gibbon has a new library. They've done a splash pad park there in Gibbon. They've survived, not the ice storm, but they've survived 2 floods. And they've come through it really good. A week ago, Gibbon just passed a bond issue for expanding their fire department and a new city hall there. They've just passed that bond. I'm looking for great things from Chris. He doesn't have to do it all. We have to be a teammate. They also got a grant for a backhoe. We're looking for a backhoe. He's got some grants. They're out there. It looks like he knows where to get them. That's what it takes. Somebody with experience, the connections, and we asked about moving to Holdrege. His wife is a realtor, works out of the Kearney office. They've been looking for housing already. Tillery hasn't built the house for him yet, or the playpen, the man cave yet, so we're working on that. But they are looking. They are wanting to move here. They have 2 kids. I think they're in middle school. I recommended he start January 2nd, first of the year. Gives him a little time. And I recommended that he would have 6 months to be able to move here. That should get him, and that he was agreeable with that. What am I missing here?
I think you pretty well covered it.
Is there any, like a performance Looking at performance side of things after, say, a 6-month period or something like that, make sure everything's okay with him and us?
Good question, Trent. We're proposing, he starts at 98,000. He's very qualified, he meets all our requirements. According to our application, payment is, according to your qualifications and stuff. We all met, he's in that top caliber. 6 months trial period. After that, then we'll look at looking up. The last one we was looking at, she requested 115. ICMA says that's what they recommend. 5.5 years ago, I looked at our city administrator. What's Bob getting for salary? We normally look at the Norfolk survey. Okay, what's that survey? What's that job worth in communities our size? We give, it took 3 different closed sessions to come up with a 6% increase to Bob. And at that time, I said, okay, thank you. But we're not going to hire a new administrator for that. The market rate is below. So the new council will have to address that down the road. But right now, we're covered. Starts at 98. 6-month probation period. Good question, Trent.
And after the performance issues have been proven and everything is great, are we looking at an increase in salaries from that point forward, or are we just regular standard raises?
I would recommend that we, Bob was getting $48.83 an hour. I'd say we would kind of match it to there for now. Then look at, which is equivalent of 101.5, something like that. Top quality candidate. But then it'll be up to the new council to look at comparability, Norfolk survey, see what the new council wants to do. But that's not up to me, that's up to the council.
We go through that every year with employees as far as what raises we're given anyway.
Exactly.
So it's just part of that process.
Exactly.
I just wanted to see clarification on one of those things. You said you were gonna give him 6 months to move to town?
Yep.
Is that 6 months from when he signs the acceptance letter, or 6 months from his January start date?
From January.
Okay, I was thinking about the kids.
His kids should be out of
That's
school.
what I was wondering, okay. All right.
I thought that's fair, and he thought that was very
He
good.
thought that was ample time?
And also Gibbons going through, I believe he said an audit that they'll be finishing up in December.
Right.
Yeah, you want to stay there for the audit?
Stay there for that.
Get them through that, and they're
Commendable.
just
Right.
walking out.
Commendable.
Yeah, he didn't want to leave them standing.
There is, some of the council wanted to go into closed session to answer or ask questions that they didn't feel like asking me on the phone or whatever. So we will be going into closed session. It'll be a short closed session. And I hope we announce that we have a city administrator when we come out.
Just stick around.
Any more questions before we go into a closed session?
Mr. Mayor, I can say I have met Mr. Richter before on work related, and I have thought he was very good also. So-
Did he beat you at golf?
No, he did not.
He said work related. I heard it.
The start of it was work related.
He comes highly recommended to the people that I have talked with. And, I wish other people would say that about me. But this isn't about me. This is the city administrator. So,
Do you just wanna have our guests wait downstairs real quick and then ask them back up, or how do you wanna do that?
Before we do that, let's go into open discussion, please. I about forgot. If that's okay with you guys?
You want to do open discussion now, or would you prefer?
Let's do open discussion now, then we'll go into
Back to it.
a closed session. Dane?
I'm sold on Mr. Richter.
Good to hear.
I think he'll be good.
We want you on his team, Dane. We want, it takes quality people. And you have, Rod has, our city attorney, Dane has done marvelous. We're in a lawsuit, and Dane has come up with something. If it's not there, he makes it up. No. He's found the paperwork to track everything that Rod was looking for, and it don't take him very long.
My opinion of
Bob,
Dane
Mr. Rigger, he was planning on kicking that cancer and coming back to work. It didn't work that way. He was wanting to come back, but Dane has done a good job as our clerk, exceptional clerk, city administrator.
nothing short of miraculous, in my opinion. Good job.
Thanks, Dane. Chief?
I have nothing.
You have nothing.
I got nothing. Yeah, we know that.
Normally you have a story. Mr. Earbaugh?
No, thank you.
Trent?
Nothing except, thank you, Dane.
You're welcome.
And I'm trying to compensate Dane.
I know.
All he could do is put in some overtime. And I can tell you this, he didn't put in all the hours that he should have been paid. That's the type of team player. And I talk about team players. When I got the 6% raise for the administrators, not me. I only had one problem with one department head. That 6%. Chief said he didn't want to take it. Give it to his officers. Sorry, Chief. They have to be negotiated for. You have to take it. The council said you deserve it, and he has done a whale of a job. So, thank you for being a team player. Ben?
I have nothing.
Randy?
Yes, I just want to thank the staff for the last 24 years. This becomes part of your heart and soul when you sit on this city council for as long as I have. I've probably been here too long, but I just want you all to know that it's been a pleasure working with all of you. We have a great group of people here, and they do a wonderful job. And I think we just need to move together, move on here, and I think we can all do that. I look forward to following what the city of Holdrege does down the road here. We got a lot of things we need to get done, and this council's gonna be busy, and so is the staff. I just want you to know I appreciate all of you. That's it.
At one time, Randy was council president. Now he's been the council resident for 24 years. And it becomes a part of your life.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks, Randy. Mr. Simpson?
I guess I'll echo what Randy just said. It's been a pleasure to serve on this council. It's had its issues at times, but I think we've all looked forward to making Holdrege better than it was when we got on. And I hope we can keep moving forward with the new council, and I wish them all the luck. So, thanks.
And Doug Simpson wants me to step up to his dress code.
Yeah.
Just come from a funeral. Mr. Sisson?
I have nothing.
McDermott? Mr. McDermott?
30 seconds only. First, thank you for your apology, Mr. Mayor. And aside from that, having laid eyes on the letter from Citizens for Progress, which was directed to the city council, but not actually sent to us, I feel the need to respond in the interest of understanding each other and finding a way forward, but also in the interest of not dragging this meeting on for another 20 minutes. I'm gonna skip it, and you can look for my full response later tonight. And that's all.
Thank you, Mary.
Nothing.
Give Mr. Parsons,
Nothing, sir.
Mr. Brinkman,
I don't have anything.
you want to talk about sending some guys up to David City? I got a letter from the mayor.
Yeah. So they called before dinner one day, that ice storm hit. They were hurting pretty bad. They had 2/3 of their town without power. We were lucky enough that the hotel still had power and one gas station had power, so we get fuel up there. But we sent 4 guys, 2 bucket trucks, and they worked through most of the night. The first night there, they took about a 6-hour break, I think, and then started it again and got done. They had almost all power restored by mid to late afternoon the next day on Veterans Day. Headed back home, stopped in Grand Island, ate supper, and got here about 8 o'clock. And sounds like they did a heck of a job. The 4 that went up there, David City was very impressed. So proud of them.
They have a good crew.
Yeah, they did great.
That's what the mayor from David City was saying. It's north of Seward, and so thank you. And we have the Veterans Memorial. They're starting to do that. And Brian Brinkman had a crew up there this afternoon drilling some 24-inch holes for him, and I think they was very impressed having the crew.
Yeah, it sounds like that went good.
Yeah, awesome.
Yep.
Thank you. Mary?
Oh, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Give to Grow is coming up Thursday, the 19th. Where are we sitting on our weed and litter assessments this year, as far as assessing the mowing property and that sort of stuff, the properties that we have cleaned up?
We didn't do it earlier since council really wasn't open to the public. So we're waiting till the end of the mowing season this year, and we'll get them, kind of combine the 2 years then, since it's a little bit different year and people couldn't respond in person, so.
There's not so much mowing, but there's a lot of leaves blowing around. The mask mandate, we've got a Holdrege Memorial Homes. They did a proclamation in-house. They would like Holdrege to do a mask mandate. So we will probably be looking in that, following the Tri-Cities, talking with the chief, what's recommended. So we will be looking at that in the very near future. So, other than that, before we go into closed session, I would like to say Randy's been here 24. Gibbons, well, you're still staying on. But Troy's been here, what, 7?
10, I think.
10? And Troy and Trent, they got appointed, so, you know, they don't hold that against the mayor. They're still pretty good council members. But this is a very important vote that we're taking tonight. Could be one of the biggest ones that we've taken over the years. So.
Doug, 16.
No, 12.
12. 3 doesn't give you the benefit of the doubt.
Well, it's been a
It's
pleasure
just-
working
it's
with you, I'll tell you that.
It's just aged me that much.
We'll see him in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
In 2 weeks, gentlemen.
I'd like to see a motion to go into a short executive session.
Motion?
Second.
Motion by Fuker, Trent, second by Johnson.
Johnson,
Yes.
Aldridge,
Yes.
Simpson,
Yes.
Sisson,
Yes.
McDermott,
Yes.
Gibbon,
Yes.
Burbine.
Yes. Yeah.